Hi, I'm Meanwhile Games, a hobbyist game developer. For the last year or so, I've been working on and off on this prototype, which I called Codename Projection for reasons I actually don't remember anymore. It's a first-person exploration game, sort of in the style of Metroid Prime, in that you unlock new abilities during the game. All of the movement is based on teleportation. I was inspired by some of the restrictions of virtual reality, or at least the restrictions that existed when I started this project over a year ago. The VR world has moved much faster than I have. I was wondering how a game like Metroid Prime might work in VR if you only have teleportation as an option, because there's only so many ways you can teleport. And then I thought of several different ways that were all really unique and distinctive. And the main one here that I was working on is this sort of weird out-of-body thing where you can see your character walking to where you want to go, and only when it reaches the destination does your view change. The game doesn't actually support VR at this point. I wanted to get it working as a normal game first, which is a lot easier to debug. I'll probably revisit a VR version of this soon. So next up, I'm going to do a sort of walkthrough slash commentary of the whole game. It feels weird to put a spoiler warning on this, but I would recommend playing the game first before you watch more of this video, since it's a very linear game and it does have some simple puzzles. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna start the walkthrough in 3, 2, 1. The game starts with you in this dark corridor, and you've sort of got this point here, and when you look at it, it turns yellow. You see a ghostly capsule, which represents your character. And you can't use the keyboard to move. In fact, if you can't use the mouse to look around. If you turn around, I put a little hint on the back that you have to click to move instead of using WASD. So when you click, your character moves forward, and when they reach their destination, your screen sort of goes white, and you sort of teleport to the new location. Up next, you've got this doorway with a little pointer hand next to it. When you get close to the door, you get this hint to press the right mouse button and select the pointer tool. And so now you can't move anymore. But if you point at this, it will highlight. If you click on it, the door opens. And then a hint on the opposite wall explaining how to go back to walk mode. I'm not sure if that messaging is actually clear. I didn't actually play test it with anybody. So hopefully nobody gets lost. Otherwise, that's what this walkthrough is for. And so now you get out into this big room with a tree with really weird looking bark. I got it from the asset store. It was free. So you've got this ramp here, which seems to be the most obvious place to go next. And when you get up to the top, you can see that there's a place up here you can't get to. The screen sort of flashes white when you click on it. That's sort of a bug I just didn't feel like fixing. But you do have a door over here which you can open. And so if you open that, another door closes. And you can't reach it from here. So the solution to this quote puzzle is you actually have to stand here inside of the doorway. Press the button, the door closes behind you but opens in front of you. So now the next challenge is you've got this rotating turret with a big red laser. If the laser hits you, you restart back here at the beginning or at the entrance of the room. So all you really have to do is just walk past it. But interestingly, the laser is affected by where the capsule is. That's where your character is, not where your view is. you saw right there, the laser kind of went right through me, or it went right through my view. But because the character was somewhere else, they weren't affected. So we've got another dark corridor. This area over here is all lit up, but you can't get over there because there's this big gap in the way. In this room, you've got a kind of a suspicious looking discolored floor section here and a big rotating thing in the middle of the other side of the room. And this is actually your, well, actually when you turn around, the floor drops out from under you, and now you actually can't get back to the other side. But if you interact with this rotating icon, you gain a new ability, which is the charge ability. So now you can click on any wall, and you'll zap there instantly. But you can't just go anywhere arbitrarily on the floor. You can only jump to walls. And so using that ability, we can get back across the room and start backtracking. Now we have a way to get over here. So we zap over there. And this is a really old meme that just seemed like exactly what needed to be here. So now we wind up back at the turret, and now we can use our new dash ability to get through this room a lot faster. Do the same sort of airlock room. And you can walk over here. And again, now we can cross this gap. You can walk into this green room here. Press the button, and you win. So that's basically the game. I think the most important thing I learned from this project is that 16 months is just too long to work on a prototype, at least for a hobbyist. I lost a lot of my enthusiasm only a few months in after it became clear that the core mechanics were not as fun as I expected, and it only got worse as the VR community increasingly questioned the core assumptions that had inspired the project, namely that free player movement ought to be avoided. I think the other problem is that I thought of this too much like a game rather than just a prototype. The scale of a full game is daunting for a solo hobbyist, and it really hurt my pacing. I worked slowly, kind of expecting a marathon, and at the end of the day I only wound up with a prototype anyways. So I think my strategy to manage scope going forward is going to be to focus on prototypes over actual complete games, although if a prototype does go well, I'd certainly think about taking it to the next level. Some of the positive lessons I learned. This was one of my first attempts at level design. I also learned a lot of technical lessons about how light mapping, light probes, and post-process effects and a lot of other visual things work in Unity. I also leaned on the asset store a bit more heavily in this project. Most of the environment was made with ProBuilder. The radial menu is an asset. The tree in the middle of this big room is an asset. I used Playmaker for a lot of the interaction mechanics. And that about wraps it up for the project. Like I mentioned, I'll probably revisit it in the near future to work on VR support so that I can test my original vision. I'm Meanwhile Games. Thank you for watching.